The human child's mind shattered the Galactic Council's impossibly complex codes in mere seconds. The year was 2257. The Galactic Council faced its greatest challenge yet. They discovered a mysterious artifact on a barren moon, one that defied all attempts at understanding its purpose or origin. The artifact emitted a complex series of mathematical patterns and frequencies that no one could decipher, not even the greatest scientists from thousands of worlds across the galaxy. The council chambers erupted into chaos. Representatives from a myriad of alien species argued and bickered over the artifact. Some suggested the artifact be destroyed, while others proposed harnessing its power for their own gain. Niran, the respected Nasat scientist, presented his findings to a silent room. This artifact is beyond anything we've ever seen. It emits a signal we cannot comprehend, in a language we cannot understand. I fear it may be a weapon or a beacon to something far more dangerous. We must proceed with caution, Niran said. Ambassador Ricky Ross, the human diplomat, stood up. If I may, esteemed council members, I have a suggestion. On Earth we have a saying, sometimes the simplest solution is the best. Perhaps we should let a child look at the artifact, free from the biases and preconceptions that cloud our judgment, Ricky said. The council erupted in laughter and derision at the notion of a mere child solving their greatest puzzle. Who would have us entrust the fate of the galaxy to a child? Have you gone mad? A Zorgax representative shouted. Ricky remained undeterred. I propose a challenge. Each species will bring their brightest child to study the artifact. Whoever solves the puzzle first will earn their people great honor and a seat on the council, Ricky said. The council fell silent. They all knew the stakes. If they failed to understand the artifact, it could fall into the wrong hands and doom them all. Very well, human. We accept your challenge, but if you fail, your species will bear the consequences, the council leader said. As the challenge began, each species brought forth their most promising child prodigy. The Nasat chose Zarin, a young savant with a gift for mathematics. The Krellians sent Vox, a telekinetic genius, while the Ziphan put forward Quarrel, a master of quantum mechanics. The scene shifted to a secure facility on a neutral planet, where the children were brought to study the artifact under the watchful eye of the council. Ricky Ross arrived with his chosen prodigy, a 12-year-old boy named Liam, who seemed unremarkable compared to his alien counterparts. The other delegates scoffed at the human's choice. You bring us a mere child barely out of diapers? The Nasat delegate sneered. Is this the best your species has to offer? But Ricky remained confident. He placed a hand on Liam's shoulder and smiled. Don't underestimate him. He may surprise you. As the children began their examination, Liam approached the artifact with a sense of wonder and curiosity, rather than the clinical detachment of his peers. He reached out and touched the smooth surface, his fingers tracing the intricate patterns etched into the metal. The artifact began to glow and hum in response, as if awakening from a long slumber. Liam closed his eyes, his brow furrowed in concentration, as if listening to a whispered secret. The other children, frustrated by their lack of progress, grew increasingly agitated and competitive. They huddled in groups, whispering and casting furtive glances at their rivals. Zarin, the Nasat prodigy, was particularly driven by the pressure to succeed. He watched Liam with narrowed eyes, his fists clenched at his sides. As the days passed, tensions mounted. Accusations of cheating and sabotage flew between the delegates, while their children worked around the clock to unravel the artifact's mysteries. Vox, the Krellian, was caught trying to plant a listening device in Quarrel's workstation. The Xiphon retaliated by hacking into the Krellian's computer and deleting his research. Amidst the chaos, Liam remained focused on the artifact, scribbling furiously in his notebook and muttering to himself. He seemed oblivious to the drama unfolding around him, lost in his own world of numbers and symbols. One night, as the facility slept, Zarin crept into Liam's workspace intent on stealing his notes. He rifled through the papers scattered across the desk, his heart pounding in his chest. Just as he found what he was looking for, a hand grabbed his wrist. "What are you doing?" Liam asked, his voice calm but firm. Zarin yanked his arm free, his face twisted in anger. "What does it look like? I'm taking what's mine. You don't deserve to be here, human. You're nothing compared to me." Liam shook his head. "This isn't about who's better. It's about working together to solve this puzzle. Don't you see? The artifact is trying to tell us something, but we're too busy fighting each other to listen." As tensions reached a boiling point, the artifact let out a high-pitched, bone-chilling screech. The intensity of the sound built up, racking everyone's eardrums. The council members in the observation room slammed their hands over their ears, scrambling to shut off the audio feed. But the noise bled through, refusing to be silenced. Niran shouted orders over the cacophony, his face pale with fear. "Evacuate the facility. Get those children out of there now." Alarms blared and red lights flashed as the staff rushed to comply. In the midst of the pandemonium, Liam walked towards the artifact, his steps steady and purposeful. He reached out, placing his palm flat against the thrumming surface. The moment his skin made contact, the noise abruptly ceased. A soft, pulsing glow emanated from the artifact, bathing the room in an ethereal light. Liam's lips parted, and he began to speak in a language that sounded both ancient and alien. His voice took on a strange, mechanical undertone, as if he were a conduit for something far greater than himself. The words flowed from his mouth in an unbroken stream, their meaning lost on the stunned observers. The council members turned to their translation matrix, desperate for answers. But even the most advanced linguistic algorithms failed to decipher the boy's words. The symbols and glyphs that appeared on the screens were unlike anything they had ever seen, defying all attempts at interpretation. As the other children were ushered out of the facility, Ricky Ross refused to budge from Liam's side. He watched the boy with a mixture of awe and trepidation, convinced that they were on the cusp of a monumental discovery. Hours crawled by, and Liam continued his one-sided conversation with the artifact. His voice grew hoarse, his face pale and drawn, beads of sweat gathered on his brow, and his hands trembled with exhaustion. Just as the council was about to intervene, unwilling to risk the child's well-being any longer, Liam's eyes snapped open. He stumbled back from the artifact, his legs giving out beneath him. Ricky lunged forward, catching the boy before he could hit the ground. As he cradled Liam in his arms, he noticed something clutched tightly in the child's hand. It was a small, crystalline object, no larger than a marble, that seemed to pulse with an inner light. Liam's fingers uncurled, revealing the strange artifact that had emerged from within the larger structure. The council members crowded around, their eyes wide with disbelief. They had never seen anything like it before, a tiny fragment of an already impossible puzzle. Ricky looked down at Liam, who lay unconscious in his arms, his face pale and still. He knew that the boy had just accomplished something extraordinary, something that would change the course of history. But at what cost? The narrator continues. In the aftermath of Liam's collapse, the council members rushed to the boy's side, their faces etched with a mixture of concern and disbelief. Ricky Ross cradled Liam in his arms, his fingers pressed against the boy's neck, feeling for a pulse. His voice was tight with urgency as he called for medical assistance, the words echoing through the suddenly silent chamber. As the medics arrived, Niran approached the unconscious child, his eyes fixed on the small crystalline object clutched in Liam's hand. With gentle fingers, he pried the object from the boy's grasp, holding it up to the light. It glittered with an inner fire, its facets throwing off a kaleidoscope of colors. Niran hurried to his workstation, placing the crystal under a high-powered microscope. As he adjusted the focus, his breath caught in his throat. The magnified image revealed an intricate lattice of data, a complex web of information that defied comprehension. Niran's hands shook as he realized the implications of his discovery. He turned to face the council, his voice trembling with excitement. "This crystal, it's a data storage device unlike anything we've ever seen. It contains an unimaginable amount of information, the sum total of the artifact creator's knowledge and technology." A murmur of shock and disbelief rippled through the council. They crowded around Niran's workstation, jostling for a better view of the crystal. Meanwhile, Liam stirred, his eyelids fluttering open. Ricky helped him sit up, supporting the boy's weight as he struggled to regain his bearings. Liam's voice was weak, but clear as he began to speak. "The artifact, it was a test," he said, his words punctuated by ragged breaths. "The creators wanted to find a species worthy of inheriting their legacy. The patterns, the frequencies, they were a language, a code that could only be understood by a mind free from preconceptions." The council members exchanged glances, the weight of Liam's words sinking in. The artifact had chosen the human child, deeming his species worthy of the creator's knowledge. As the implications of Liam's discovery became clear, the council erupted into heated debate. Voices rose in a cacophony of arguments and counter-arguments, each species vying for control of the newfound knowledge. "This information belongs to all of us," the Nasat representative shouted, slamming his fist on the table. "No single species should have exclusive access to such power." "And risk it falling into the wrong hands," the Krellian delegate countered, her eyes narrowed. "This knowledge is too dangerous to be shared freely. It must be guarded, controlled." Ricky Ross stepped forward, his voice cutting through the din. "Enough," he shouted, his eyes blazing with determination. "Fighting amongst ourselves will only lead to ruin. We must find a compromise, a way to ensure that this knowledge is used for the benefit of all." The council fell silent, the weight of Ricky's words hanging in the air. They knew he was right, but finding a solution would be no easy task. Ricky turned to Liam, placing a hand on the boy's shoulder. "Rest now," he said softly. "You've done more than enough." As Liam was led away by the medics, Ricky faced the council once more. "I propose a compromise," he said, his voice steady and clear. "A joint research initiative, overseen by representatives from each species. Together, we can unlock the secrets of the crystal and ensure that its knowledge is used wisely." The narrator's voice grows somber as he recounts the tragic events that followed. Just as a glimmer of hope emerged, with Ricky's proposal for cooperation and compromise, the unthinkable happened. A group of extremists, their faces hidden behind sleek black helmets, burst into the council chambers, weapons blazing. The once orderly room devolved into a scene of utter chaos, with laser blasts ricocheting off the walls and delegates diving for cover. In the midst of the firefight, Liam, his body still weak from his encounter with the artifact, stumbled towards the crystalline data storage device. His small hands reached out, desperate to protect the priceless knowledge it contained. But as his fingers brushed against the crystal's surface, a stray laser bolt struck the device, sending a spiderweb of cracks across its pristine facade. Ricky, seeing the boy in danger, lunged forward, his body acting as a shield. A searing pain tore through his back as a laser blast found its mark, the acrid smell of burnt flesh filling the air. He collapsed to the ground, his arms still wrapped around Liam, his breath coming in ragged gasps. As the battle raged on, Niran, the Nasat scientist, made a split-second decision. His eyes locked onto the damaged crystal, the cracks in its surface growing wider with each passing moment. He knew that if the extremists were to gain control of the artifact's knowledge, the consequences would be catastrophic. With a heavy heart, he summoned his telekinetic abilities, focusing his mind on the crystal. The air around the device shimmered and warped as Niran's mental grip tightened. The crystal began to vibrate, its facets glowing with an eerie, pulsating light. Then, with a sickening crunch, the crystal shattered, its fragments disintegrating into a fine, glittering dust. The artifact's knowledge, the sum total of its creator's wisdom and technology, was lost forever. As the dust settled, the extremists, realizing their prize had been destroyed, beat a hasty retreat. The council chambers lay in ruins, the once pristine floors now littered with debris and the bodies of the fallen. Medics rushed in, their faces grim as they triaged the wounded. Ricky, his life slipping away, managed a weak smile as he looked up at Liam. "You did good, kid," he whispered, his voice barely audible over the chaos. "Real good." With a final, shuddering breath, Ricky Ross, the human diplomat who had brought a child to the stars, passed away, his sacrifice forever etched into the annals of galactic history. In the aftermath of the attack, the Council gathered to assess the damage. The artifact, now little more than a hollow shell, was sealed away in a secure vault, its secrets forever lost. The Council members, their faces lined with grief and exhaustion, vowed to learn from the tragedy, to work towards a future of greater cooperation and understanding between species. But for Liam, the scars of that fateful day would never fully heal. Orphaned and traumatized, he would carry the weight of Ricky's sacrifice and the burden of the knowledge he had briefly touched for the rest of his days. The story of the human child who had solved the Galactic Council's greatest puzzle had come to a bittersweet end, a testament to the resilience and fragility of the human spirit in the face of the unknown. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.